Okay, so night one of WrestleMania is in the books. Obviously, we'll be doing night two in another part of this video, but this is all going to be one big review. Obviously, we've got some big pre-show news to go through first. Okay, so I got confused. If you saw a post I made on the channel, like I said, I got weirdly confused. I saw an announcement for the the SmackDown tag titles being defended in a ladder match, in a TLC match, and I thought it was going to be on the show, but no, it was on SmackDown, and DIY won them back. Tommaso Ciampa got injured to the point he had to shave his beard. He cut his chin really bad, so they had to cut all the hair off to get to it to stitch it. So now he looks really weird. Basically social media is not always the best thing. It's like, I saw it, it's like, well, SmackDown's almost over, so that obviously had to be in a match for Mania, right? Also, then as the show started, this morning, news broke that Rey Mysterio had gotten injured and would all likely be missing the match. Rey confirmed this on the kickoff show and said that he was going to be replaced by Rey Fenix. So when that match comes up, you'll see a different graphic. And then the big news is that WWE has purchased the Mexican promotion AAA. Antonio Pena's promotion started in the early 90s, it was 93, 94. That's where people like Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Art Barr, Conan, they all really kind of cut their teeth in AAA and made a name for themselves there. So this is a pretty big deal. Obviously, now this means El Hijo del Vikingo is a WWE superstar. They're setting up a basically big crossover show, AAA, NXT, and WWE, called Worlds Collide. It's going to be this June. We'll talk about that when we get there. So also Randy Orton issued an open challenge. I guess we'll cover that when we get there. I don't have a graphic for it, so you'll just get something else. And last but not least, just before the show started, they did a backstage thing where someone attacked Bayley. She's injured. She's not going to be able to compete in the tag match tonight. And Lyra Valkyria has 24 hours to get Becky Lynch. I think that's where this is going. Yes, Lyra does have a history with Becky. Becky won the NXT Championship, and I believe Lyra beat her for it. So that's where that came from. So again, they're like, they're trying not to play off that Raquel and Liv didn't attack Bayley. It's entirely possible they didn't. So anyway, that's basically all the pre-show stuff you really need to know. Again, no pre-show matches because we don't do those anymore. Even though we had a 3-hour-long pre-show. I'm glad I didn't watch all of that. Anyway, moving on to the show proper. We started off with the World Heavyweight Championship match between Walter and Jey Uso. Right off the bat, Jey landed a big elbow after a chop from Walter, a big right. Jey hit a jumping enziguri after another chop. Basically, every time that Walter did try to mount any type of offense, Jey was able to counter it. Walter did chop him off the ropes and then out of the ring. Jey hit a spear out of the corner. Walter came back, hit a superplex, a drop kick, and a power bomb. Jey came back and a head scissors spear in the Uso splash. Walter hit. He tried to basically, after the spear, he tried to roll out of the ring, grab the belt, get the count out, loss. Jey tried to do a torpe, and Walter managed to clock him with the championship. Walter hit the power bomb, locked on the rear naked chokes, but Jey managed to get to the ropes. Jey fought off another rear naked choke and a German suplex of his own. Walter countered a spear with his coffin drop kick. And then Jey came back, hit a power bomb and a super kick. Jey then hit 3 Uso splashes and locked on a rear naked choke of his own, and Walter tapped. So yes, Jey Uso is World Heavyweight Champion. Everyone celebrated. Jimmy Uso came down to the ring. Walter kind of booked it out of there. Ludwig Kaiser was nowhere to be seen, which was kind of weird. But they got out of the ring. They celebrated. Everyone was having fun. And they left the ring. This was a fun match. Really good stuff. I think they told a good story. They showed how Jay had changed. He wasn't just going to go and do the Uso shtick all the time. He was going to try to play Walter at his own game and beat him that way, and it worked. So yeah, he did show the ruthlessness when he needed to. He didn't, just do, like I said, didn't just do the super kick. He didn't just do, the splash, super kick, spear. He mixed in the jumping enziguri, the chops, the elbow throw. He did go, strike for strike with Walter, which I do think really helped. All right, our next match after that was the World Tag Team Championship match, the War Raiders versus the New Day. The New Day came out in Giant Gonzalez-inspired outfits. They argued with George Kittle in the crowd. This did not pay off at all. Right off the bat, the New Day attempted to double team Eric. It was not effective. Eric came back, tagged in Ivar, who slammed Ivar off the apron onto the New Day on the outside. Xavier Woods came back in a back suplex knee drop combo. Kofi then hit a senton on the apron onto Eric. Eric got back in the ring, hit a corner splash and a slam on Xavier. They tried to go for their finisher. Ivar got tripped on the ropes by Kofi. That enabled the New Day to hit Daylight, and then Kofi held Ivar's leg down for the 3 count. So the New Day are now World Tag Team Champions again. I would probably say a long time coming. Again, they probably should have capitalized on the heel turn a lot better than they have, but I do think New Day's probably going to have a big, lengthy title reign because they do need to set up for if Big E ever comes back and they can have their big face turn and redemption. I don't think they should have it right away, though. So, yeah, overall, match was okay. Both teams, you can see where the injuries have really hampered both these teams because while they worked really good, they didn't have quite enough fast-paced action to get the crowd behind them a lot, so it was just kind of dull, unfortunately. After that, we had the match between Jade Cargill and Naomi. Right off the bat, Cargill immediately hit Naomi with a 2-leg takedown, several forearms. Cargill hit a choke bomb into the corner. Naomi fought back and hit an X-Factor off the apron, slamming Cargill face first off the concrete. Naomi then hit a blockbuster off the ring steps. Cargill came back, hit a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Cargill countered a blockbuster into a jackhammer. Naomi then countered a top rope move into a bulldog off the ropes. She hit her split-legged moonsault. Naomi countered Jaded into the Rings of Saturn hold, but Cargill fought out of that, hit kind of a pop-up electric chair powerbomb, and then followed that with Jaded for the 3 count of the victory. This was a really good match. It definitely highlighted a lot of Jade Cargill's strengths. It helped, like I said, it made Naomi look strong too. It wasn't just, Cargill came in and beat the hell out of Naomi and then she maybe squeaked away with something. Naomi looked, like I said, strong. She held her own. She hit that, again, great moves, good storytelling. It was really strong, and like I said, it was really fun. Really good match. Okay, our next match is the United States Championship match between LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. Right off the bat, Knight drove Fatu into the corner and hit a nice neck breaker, but Fatu immediately blocked the BFT attempt. Fatu hit his pop-up Samoan drop. Knight hit a series of drop kicks that sent Fatu into the announce table. Fatu countered a crossbody into a power slam. Knight countered a Samoan drop attempt into an arm drag. Knight hit a flying springboard elbow. Knight came back in a nice German suplex. Fatu hit multiple hip attacks in the corner, hit a big swanton. He went for his variation on the BME, but Knight managed to counter that into a BFT. He got the cover, but unfortunately there was a rope break involved. And that enabled Fatu to come back, hit a super Samoan drop off the top rope, and follow that with back-to-back BMEs for the 3 count of the win. Immediately, Haku came down to the ring to celebrate with Fatu. Again, another championship for the Bloodline. Again, surprisingly good match. I knew these two were capable of something, but it's just, again, I thought the story build-up wasn't great into this. But these two really did carry through and put on a really good match. And again, I think Fatu is definitely going to elevate the United States Heavyweight Championship again. So yeah, it's probably, I don't know how long he's going to have it, but it does interest me where this puts like Solo. Are we going to get kind of a Randy Orton and Evolution type thing, or is it going to be a little different? It's definitely interesting to see where this is going to be going. Alright, so our next match is El Grande Americano versus not Rey Mysterio, but Rey Fenix. I'm going to call him Chad Gable throughout this, I hope you understand. Gable argued with El Hijo de Vikingo, who was in the crowd. That enabled Phoenix to get a quick kick and try to go for a quick pin. He had a jumping head scissors off the second rope. Gable came back with a German suplex. Gable countered a crossbody into a Northern Lights suplex. Gable hit a belly-to-belly into the corner. He then hit an inverted senton. I would almost say it was like a 630, but he did it from the moonsault position, so I don't know exactly the move involved. It was really well done. Phoenix came back, hit a black fire driver. He tried to go for a move. He tried to go for his running kick on the top rope. I forget what it's called, but Gable tripped him up, and that enabled Gable to put the metal plate under his mask. However, Phoenix came back, hit a couple of big moves. He then hit his running kick, and again, due to the plate that hurt Phoenix's foot, so he got put in the ankle lock by Gable. Phoenix fought out of it, got into a roll-up, but then Gable came back, hit a headbutt in the corner, and then flying headbutt to get the 3 count of victory. I'm surprised I got that one right. After they changed it to Rey Fenix, I thought, well, maybe Gable isn't going to win this one. And yet, again, he won. So, so far, I was perfect on my predictions. The match itself, overall, it was all right. I know, I do wonder, again, because they had to recobble this at the last minute, they needed to add a few things or change a few things. But like I said, there were some high points, but then there was also some, we're just setting up to the next move, and it's obvious that we're just setting up to the next move, if that makes any sense. It just kind of affected the pace of the match a little bit. But other than that, like I said, it was kind of fun. And that leads us into our next match, which is the Women's Championship match between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. Stratton got a Barbie-themed entrance. They tried to do something with Charlotte Flair where she got a Rolls-Royce escort to the entrance ramp, but then they cut away from her exiting the car for some reason. I don't know what happened there. Right off the bat, though, Flair had a 2-legged takedown and some forearm shots. Tiffany Stratton shoved Flair into the ring post. Stratton came back, had a back splash in the corner, while Flair was trying to do the kind of I forget what it's called, where you're in the corner and you go up and over the person. Kind of a corner leapfrog type maneuver, I'll say. She had a handspring elbow and then a spine buster. She went for the prettiest moonsault ever, but Flair avoided it. Flair hit a sit-down powerbomb. Flair came back. He tried to target Stratton's knee so that she could set up for the figure 8. Stratton countered a big boot into the spine buster again. Stratton broke up a moonsault. Flair tweaked her knee doing so. Her surgically repaired knee. Flair went for the figure 8, but Stratton fought back again, attacking Flair's injured knee. She hit a chop block on the knee, but Flair managed to block the prettiest moonsault ever. Flair then came back and hit a natural selection off the top rope. Only got a 2 count. Stratton eventually came back and an Alabama slam into the turnbuckle, and then hit the prettiest moonsault ever for the 3 count of the victory. Also, somewhere along the line, she chipped her tooth. She was celebrating, she was smiling. You could see, oh, she's missing part of her tooth. Yes, but again, I'll gladly take the loss on this one. I think I would, like many, was just kind of fearing with the build and everything that they were going to let Charlotte win, but then I guess the way they booked it again the last week, they made Tiffy look strong back. So I think she got back a lot of her momentum, and it makes sense to have her win. Again, Charlotte, we don't need another Charlotte world title reign, not yet. Okay, just like let them actually build some stuff and just do some stuff with Tiffany for a little bit. And just okay, maybe we can do something else with Charlotte for a while. I think it would be good. Okay, and that leads us into our main event for night one, the triple threat match between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Reigns immediately, as he normally is supposed to place the Ulafala in his wise man's hands, realized he can do that, so he just put it in the corner, and then it just vanished, never to be seen again. Right off the bat, Punk rolled out of the ring and basically attempted to make Reigns and Rollins work together. Rollins refused to do such a thing. Reigns clotheslined Punk out over the top rope and out of the ring. He hit Rollins with a drive-by drop kick. Punk and Rollins brawled into the crowd. Rollins attacked Punk with a trash can. Reigns, as they fought back towards the ring, Reigns leapt over the barricade with a flying clothesline and hit Punk and Rollins. He then ripped off the top of the announce tables to set up for some type of maneuver. He then attacked Rollins with the giant prime hydration bottle. Punk then hit running knees on both men. Punk looked to Heyman as he set up Reigns for a top rope elbow, and Heyman looked really upset about it. Punk and Reigns then hit a Doomsday Device on Rollins. Punk hit Reigns with an Uranagi and then locked on the Anaconda Device, but Rollins broke that up with a Frog Splash. Rollins hit buckle bombs on both Punk and Reigns. Rollins countered a spear into a pedigree and hit a stomp on Reigns, but then Punk hit Rollins with a GTS, but then got speared by Reigns. Eventually, Rollins tried to talk Reigns into doing a shield bomb on the outside. Reigns was kind of iffy on it because he doesn't want to really work with Rollins. Finally, he said, "You know what, we're doing it." But then immediately decked Rollins and threw him out of the way. Powerbombed Punk onto one announce table. Powerbombed Rollins onto the Spanish announce table. He then speared Rollins, but only got a 2 count on it. Reigns then put Punk in a guillotine choke. Punk countered that into an Anaconda Vice. Rollins broke that up and put Punk in a sharpshooter. Punk came back, hit the stomp on Reigns, and hit a GTS on Rollins. It's at this point that Paul Heyman got fed up and grabbed a chair. And the way it was set up is that he's in between Reigns and Punk. And Reigns is begging for the chair. Punk is begging for the chair. Heyman looks forlorn and slides the chair to Punk. And starts to get into the ring to help Punk to his feet so he can attack Reigns with the chair. And then immediately low blows CM Punk. And he looks at it and he says, "You made me choose!" And he takes the chair, he gives it to Reigns. Reigns hits Punk with the chair a couple of times, but then Heyman goes, no, you don't want Punk. You want him. And he points to Rollins, who is picking himself up at the ropes and is open for another Shield chair shot. So Reigns starts to go for it, and Heyman immediately low blows him and gives the chair to Seth Rollins. This was all their plan because Seth Rollins came to Heyman's aid and said, "I need a favor of you." So yes, kind of what I predicted. I said I thought Heyman would turn on CM Punk. I didn't know if it was going to be certainly turn on Reigns, but Rollins would wind up winning the match. And that's pretty much what happened. Rollins attacked Reigns with the chair and then hit a stomp for the 3 count of the victory. And Heyman left with Rollins. So, yep, Paul Heyman is now the official counselor for Seth Rollins. Not CM Punk, not Roman Reigns. So we are definitely heading in a new direction. Don't know exactly what this means. I mean, obviously Rollins will probably... They're going to start dividing Raw and SmackDown. They've been merging them back together since the move to Netflix, but it was always the plan after WrestleMania they're going to do another draft. They're going to separate the shows again. To have Jey Uso be the world champion. If Rollins stays on Raw, he will probably be going after Jey pretty soon, depending on what happens with Walter. And, you know, if he were to go to SmackDown, I don't know what he would do, because SmackDown is fairly heel heavy right now, but I don't know what... I mean, again, if what comes to pass, you know, I do think he would do a good job feuding with Cody for the championship, but Cody might not have the championship, but I guess we'll see. So, overall, night one, mostly fun. Liked a lot of the stuff. Again, the only match I would really give anything as I didn't really like that much was the Chad Gable, Ray Phoenix match. Again, I understand they had to cobble that together, so I'm only kind of a little slack on that. Like I said, Naomi Jade Cargill was a good match. The tag match had its rough moments. Stratton and Flair, for the most part, was really good. Unfortunately, there was some clunkiness in that one too. But overall, like I said, it was still a fun match. It was nice to see Tiffany win. So, again, overall, I do think this had a very strong start. It made up for the very lackluster booking. But, like I said, I think we should reserve judgment until we see Night 2. So, we'll be back with Night 2 after the break.
This is an ordinary man.
Honey, I'm home.
I made dinner.
This is a hungry man.
Baby, I'm home.
How was work today?
A few body slams, the usual. I'm starving. What's for dinner?
I made your favorite. Hungry man.
A whole pound of food men love. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, corn and pudding.
Mind if I join you?
Hungry man from Swanson. It's good to be full.
Get your own, sucker!
Anything can happen, and it probably will, on WCW Worldwide. All the superstars of WCW in hard-hitting wrestling action, each and every week, like you've never seen before. It's the cutting edge of pro wrestling. It's WCW Worldwide.
Well, Night 2 of WrestleMania is officially in the books, and, well, it was short. You know, there were some nice aspects to this. A nice little touch they did. They actually reversed the English and Spanish announce tables, where in Night 1, it was English announce table, Spanish announce table. For Night 2, they switched them around, so it's now English announce table, Spanish announce table. So, yeah, again, it was just kind of a nice little touch. Say, hey, we're treating things a little bit differently here. You know, they didn't make a huge alteration in the center or anything after that. I will say this. This was later on in the show. Stone Cold Steve Austin came out to announce the attendance, and he came out on a four-wheeler and crashed into the barricade, and it seemed to, unfortunately, have injured a fan in the front row. Hopefully that fan is okay. It was a complete accident. He was trying to whip around the ring, and he didn't turn. He took too wide an angle on a turn, and and he couldn't back the thing up because it knocked the barricade so far back that the padding for the area around the ring was exposed into the concrete, and so it got the tire got kind of wedged in there. So yeah, unfortunately, that kind of typifies the night. But let's get to the matches. We started off with the triple threat match for the Women's World Championship between Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. Again, I have to keep reminding myself damage control is still a thing, as they announced Io Sky as being a part of that, because everyone keeps getting injured. Like, I think Kairi Sane is supposed to be coming back soon, and I don't know when Asuka's coming back, and Dakota Kai came back only to just get injured again. Anyway, Sky did hit early on, like, Ripley and Belair wanted to fight each other, but Sky kind of inserted herself and said, hey, no, I'm not going to sit here. You've treated me as an afterthought during this whole storyline. I'm not doing that. She had a nice dropkick on Belair. Ripley came back and a dropkick on Sky, sent her out of the ring. They fought back into the ring at one point. They got into the corner. Bianca did the 10 punches in the corner on both women at the same time, basically. Io and Rhea were up into the corner, and she was hitting both of them. Belair hit Sky with 3 suplexes, only get pulled out by Ripley. Io did come back in a nice double blockbuster. Ripley and Belair did work together to whip Sky into the barricade. Ripley hit a razor's edge through Io Sky into Bianca Belair. There was a Tower of Doom spot that was really nasty looking. Belair, because Io was going for the moonsault, Rhea was trying to counter and go into the Riptide, but then Belair came and just hit kind of like a back superplex. And so all 3 women came, like, Io flipped over and took everything onto her face, and looked like Bianca maybe tweaked her wrist on the landing. Ripley came in and hit Belair with a Riptide. I believe Io broke the pin there. Sky countered a Riptide into a DDT. Ripley countered... I think Io was trying to go for a moonsault again, but Rhea revived, tripped her up, went for a super Riptide, but Io Sky countered that into an arm drag. Belair came in and hit the KOD on Io, but Ripley broke up the pin. Again, Belair and Ripley fought. Belair hit the hair whip and hit the KOD. However, Io revived and hit the moonsault and wound up pinning Bianca Belair for the 3 count of the victory to retain the championship. So, I was wrong on my predictions on that one, but again, much like last night with Charlotte and Tiffany, I'll gladly take the loss on that just because I do think it provided something a little bit different. Again, we've had the dominance of Bianca and Rhea throughout the last WrestleManias. I think it's okay if they lose a match every once in a while. Again, Io, it was treated as an afterthought. They even mentioned in this build-up that Io was being treated as an afterthought in the whole match. So yeah, it's like when you're calling it out, that doesn't automatically make good for the fact that you still did it. Again, I point out to the fact this made the Elimination Chamber pointless. This is why the match itself was great. The build-up was not. And you see the problem with a lot of the build-up to this show. I think is just typified in this. If it had just been better, I think, again, I would have liked this match a lot more. Okay, so our next match after that was the Sin City Street Fight between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Priest got played down by Kenny King of Slayer. McIntyre is, I believe it's for the new Doom game that's coming out. Yeah, I'm not saying the wrestlers can't do video game tie-in things, but maybe not at WrestleMania. You're kind of breaking the immersion a little bit and the grandiose importance when you have McIntyre coming out with weird, like, RoboCop armor padding thing going on. Anyway, McIntyre jumped Priest while he was removing his robe. McIntyre suplexed Priest on the ramp. Priest came back through the ring steps into McIntyre's face. McIntyre took a selfie after dropping Priest with a bunch of shots at the said ring steps. McIntyre avoided a chair shot and he hit a Claymore. At one point, he placed the chair around Priest's neck and tried to hit a Claymore into that, but Priest countered that into a South of Heaven. Priest countered a superplex into a Razor's Edge through a table. At some point, McIntyre had set up 2 tables to the outside, and it looked like maybe McIntyre was going to be sent into them. However, after McIntyre hit a future shock on the ring steps, Priest came back again. He didn't quite, I think he hit another Razor's Edge. He then went up to the top rope and tried to do an old school arm drag a la The Undertaker, but McIntyre shoved him off through the tables that were set up on the outside of the ring. And then McIntyre had mounted a chair, or I believe Priest had mounted a chair up in the corner. McIntyre placed Priest's head against that and hit a Claymore into that chair for the 3 count of the victory. Again, I think this makes McIntyre look strong. I would say it'd start booking him for a potential title run again. I guess he'd be facing Jey Uso. We'll get to that. But again, this does help build up strong heel contingents, which I think you're going to be needing very soon. Like I said, I don't know. Yeah, you need that lurking menace, and yeah, you have Seth Rollins, but again, they're going to be doing more hard brand split after WrestleMania, and then they'll unite them more around the time of next WrestleMania. So again, there could be a chance for that. So, overall, I'd say this was a pretty decent little match. A lot of high impact stuff. I'm not entirely enthused with a few unprotected headshots. Again, I know you can always say, well, it's just once in a while, but once in a while is still bad. Okay, like, there's no moderation when it comes to head injuries. Okay, like, sorry, it's just kind of the way it goes. But yeah, like I said, overall, very entertaining match. They told a good story. I wouldn't mind these two fighting again at some point, but I don't know, after a street fight, I don't know what you can really do after that. But I do think this does help elevate Priest a little bit too, even though he lost. Our next match was the Fatal 4-Way match for the Intercontinental Championship between Braun Breaker, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, and Penta El Zero Miedo. Right off the bat, Breaker immediately attempted to spear Dominic. Balor pulled Dominic out of the way. Breaker hit they fought to the outside of the ring. Penta hit a torpe, and then Breaker ran around the ring and hit a giant flying shoulder block where he flew over 3 guys and made contact with Penta. And it looked like Penta tweaked his knee a little bit taking the bump, but it was an impressive move. Breaker tried to broke a pin on Dominic. He speared Dominic, and then he had to break the pin, I think, from Penta. Penta had went for a Phantom Driver, or no, the Penta Driver, my mistake. On Balor, Breaker hit a double German on them, both of them, to break that up. Dominic went for the Three Amigos on Penta. Balor blocked a spear with a dropkick, but that enabled Dominic to dropkick Balor into the ropes for the 619. Which got attempted, but I think Balor just barely broke that up. They argued a little bit. They fought on the outside of the ring again. Another kind of big schmoz broke out. Penta did hit the Penta Driver on, I believe it was Balor, but then Dominic broke that up. He hit it on Breaker. My mistake. Breaker then speared Penta. Dominic broke that up. Went for the frog splash. Balor tripped him up. Balor hit the shotgun drop kick and then went for the coup de grace. He hit it, but then Dominic broke the pin with a frog splash and covered Balor for the 3 count of the victory to become the new Intercontinental Champion. No new member of the Judgment Day yet. Finn and Balor are still technically in the group, but they didn't really cover much of that. They just showed Dom celebrating him, running up the ramp, then running back down to the ring. They didn't show Balor's reaction to it at all. There was one shot where I thought he looked pissed, but I'm not entirely sure. And that's it. Unfortunately, like I said, a very good match. A lot of good high spots in there. I did kind of have the feeling that this was we're going to throw together the quickie match to get everybody on the card. And it did kind of have that feeling a little bit, but again, the way they treated the aftermath just didn't really work very well. Again, if we're building towards the breakup of the Judgment Day, shouldn't that look a bit more important? We had Breaker spearing Carlito through the announce table again. Carlito had set up for something on the announce table. Breaker leapt from the Spanish announce table to the English announce table to spear Carlito, and it did look like a pretty nasty bump because Carlito's head hit the metal part of the table. So yeah, it was a pretty gnarly scene. But again, other than that, it's like, yeah, there were fun points, but now it's like, this isn't building anything because Dominic kind of hightailed it out of there, and then we didn't get any type of fallout. We should have had an angry Finn Balor looking. We should have had him confronting Dominic and, just building to something, but you didn't do it. So, yeah, that's just the one part that kind of rang hollow with me. All right, our next match is Randy Orton versus his mystery opponent, who it turned out to be. Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Yes, Joe Hendry came to the ring. He got his WrestleMania moment. And he went for a quick roll-up. Orton hit a thumb to an eye to break up a shot, hit his Hangman DDT. Hendry hit a big follow-away slam. He did his little ring pose where he stops and then wheels around, smiling to the camera. And he is immediately hit with an RKO out of nowhere for the 3 count. Um, and I kind of understand. Okay, like, TNA is lending you their world champion for this match that you kind of had to cobble together in a couple of weeks because, yeah, you know, Kevin Owens got hurt. You know, if you're going to do something like this, and TNA is going to lend you one of their biggest wrestler, basically, again, their world champion, their focal point guy, you know, they probably don't want him in a match where he's going to get seriously hurt. So you have him do a few moves, you hit the RKO, you end it. Exactly. You have a quick match, so hopefully he doesn't get hurt. That being said, I completely understand if anyone out there is disappointed that Joe Hendry got squashed on WrestleMania. Afterwards, though, Orton did kind of shake Hendry's hand and kind of thanked him because this was his WrestleMania anniversary match. He's had a match at every WrestleMania since WrestleMania 20, so I could see where this was his 20th anniversary WrestleMania. So again, I can see that. I completely understand. And again, he shook Hendry's hand, he raised it, and then he hit him with another RKO. But yeah, again, I understand. It was kind of fun, though. Again, we got to see Joe Hendry at WrestleMania. You know, who knows if we'll never ever get that chance again. I completely understand the disappointment, but at the same time, I also understand maybe TNA's reasoning as well. And that leads us into Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. Right off the bat, Styles ripped off Paul's headband and Paul shoved him. Paul kicked Styles into the announce table. Styles tried to sell an injury, but then used that to lure Paul and then tangled it up in the ring apron so he could hit a running knee. Paul then whipped Styles into both of the ring posts. Paul brought a drone with him to the ring, basically. He had a drone with him. He was holding it in his hands. He let it fly. It went around the arena during his entrance. It then landed in his hand, and he set it on top of the giant Prime bottle. At one point, Paul did the same thing, tangled Styles up in the apron. He grabbed the drone and had it fly around so that you got a shot of that happening. Paul hit a frog splash, only got a 2 count. Paul hit an overbomb, got a rope break. Styles came back, hit a big lariat, and hit the Ushigoroshi. Paul countered a phenomenal forearm and hit a lion salt. Paul countered a Styles clash into a lariat. Styles hit a torture axe slam. Went for a 450, but Paul blocked it with his legs. He attempts a Styles clash of his own. Styles rolls through into a Styles clash of his own. As that happened, one of Paul's lackeys, Jeff, I think his name is, tried to slip Paul some brass knucks, but Karrion Kross interceded, grabbed the knucks from Jeff's hand. Yeah, I just have to say Jeff. Tried to give them to Styles, who is also dealing with Jeff, but Styles didn't want anything to do with them, threw them away, and that enabled Paul to hit the pulverizer for the 3 count and the victory. This match was alright. Again, for as much crap as Logan Paul maybe deserves in life, he is a born professional wrestler. If he were doing this full time, he would be a huge star, okay? And he's already a pretty big star just doing it part time. I mean, that's kind of that dichotomy we got to deal with. But yeah, still though, like I said, the match was okay. I do kind of wish. I don't know what they could have done to really make it better. But yeah, like I said, this felt like a thrown together match to get Logan Paul on the card, and that's pretty much what it was. Alright, our next match is the Women's Tag Team Championship match between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez and Valkyria and Becky Lynch. I'm sure that's a shock to all of you. And Becky, yeah, I'm sure, like I said, I said it in the first part. Obviously, this was meant to get Becky Lynch back. It seemed to work. Morgan saw it. She tried to book it until the announce. She tried to leave the ring until the announcers called her coward, and then she went back in. She immediately tagged in Raquel right after the bell rang. Lynch put Raquel in a rear naked choke. They had a little bit of a botch early on. I think it was supposed to be an arm drag into this maneuver, but they had to modify it. Valkyria got tagged in. She got hit with she hit a huge drop kick through the ropes, but then Morgan shoved Valkyria into a big boot from Raquel. Morgan hit the 3 Amigos on Valkyria. Valkyria went for a tag, but Morgan pulled Lynch off of the apron. Lynch eventually did get the hot tag when Valkyria dodged a spear into the ring post. Lynch tried to disarm her on Liv, but Rodriguez broke it. Valkyria got back in. She broke the pin after an Oblivion on Lynch. She then hit basically a Torpe DDT on Raquel on the outside of the ring, and that enabled Becky to hit Liv with the manhandle slam for the 3 count of the victory. I guess it's an okay match. Again, I get bringing back, if you're going to do this and bring back Becky Lynch, you're not going to have her lose, but at the same time, it's like, again, Liv and Raquel were better tag champions than this. I don't, like, it's this one problem with they just cannot get a handle on them. And it's like, there's really no tag team division because it's almost all hodgepodge teams. And then the few actual tag teams there are barely ever get runs with the championships. And so, yeah, again, like, I understand why they did what they did. And the match itself was pretty good. I do think a lot of people got spots in. Like, you know, it wasn't just an instant squash. I do think that they, you know, again, Raquel and Liv got a lot of good moves in. It did look like there could be something happening. And yet at the same time, it's like, again, you do this, and I just don't know. It's like, I just can never really seem to get into it. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm very lukewarm on this. I guess it's nice to see Becky back. Don't know how long she'll be back. I do see her being a part-timer. Like, you know, eventually once they drop the belts, you know, maybe she and Lyra have a feud, and then, you know, she goes on the shelf again for a while. Again, not in an injury sense, but just in a, yeah, she needs time off. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, like I said, I just wish they would build a proper women's tag division. That's all.
It is better to give than to receive.
Give it to him good when WWF WrestleMania slams out of the arcade and into your home.
To thine own self be true.
With the most true-to-life wrestling you've ever seen.
Love thy neighbor.
But sometimes love hurts in the World Wrestling Federation.
Do unto others.
Do it to him first. WWF WrestleMania the arcade game for leading home systems from Acclaim. No pain, no gain.
Now you can get in shape with the greatest wrestling superstar in the world. It's the Warrior Workout. Workout with the former heavyweight champion and the most dedicated man on the planet. Learn how to get rid of those extra pounds or tone and tighten up your body. Whether it's adding strength or increasing your stamina, the Warrior Workout is for you. Now you can get your Warrior Workout video by ordering now. Get in shape with the greatest video workout tape ever made. It's yours, the Warrior Workout video. Order now.
On Days of Our Lives,
I just want to be a part of your life.
You're the most important part.
Max and Stephanie have fallen in love.
I love you, Max Brady.
I love you too.
Now, nothing can come between them, except maybe him.
I've known about you for a while now.
Known what?
That he's my father.
Days of Our Lives.
And now it's time for the main event, the Undisputed WWE Championship match between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. And it is strange because, again, Cena's the heel, and even the heel announcers are not pulling for John Cena. They're all upset about this, and they're calling him like a shell of a man who's desperate during the whole intro sequence. Also, Cody came out with his skull mask that now has an Iron Man feature. So, in other words, like in the MCU Iron Man, where it splits open on its own. Anyway, Cena immediately powdered off after a shoulder block from Cody. Cody hit a torpe to the outside. He landed a big drop kick. Cena came back with some punches and stomps. Again, because of Cena's Hollywood's concerns, I understand why they can't do a lot of this shit that they normally do on a scene. You can't wrestle that fast pace and, again, risk an injury, much like I said with Joe Hendry earlier. So, yeah, I kind of understand that, but this match had a really slow pace. There were some interesting moments. Cena started to do the 5 moves, but he would do it very slowly. So instead of the shoulder block, you know, back suplex bomb, it's more like shoulder block. Play to crowd. shoulder block. Yeah, so he was doing it very slowly. Cody broke a 5-knuckle shuffle attempt with a thumb to the eye. He came back, he had a disaster kick, a Cody cutter. Cena came back in a tornado DDT. Like I said, Cody had a nice power slam. They're fighting. Cena hits an AA. He countered a bionic elbow into an AA. He hit an avalanche AA. Cody kicked out of both of those. Cody hit a super cutter. Cena hit back another AA and an STF. Cody got to the ropes. He fought out of the STF and kicked Cena into the ref, knocking him out. Cody hit a crossroads. Ref is out, so Cena, as Cody goes to revive the ref, Cena manages to get up. He takes off the turnbuckle pad. He rams Cody's head into it multiple times. Hits another AA. Only gets a 2 count. Again, ref is not entirely into this at this point. So at this moment, Travis Scott's music hits. And Travis Scott comes out. He comes down. He makes like he's going to do a belt shot on Cody. Cody manages to fight out of that, knocks Scott off the ring apron, hits a crossroads, but Scott pulls the ref out. And Cena grabs the belt that the Hardcore Championship that Travis Scott had. He had a custom-made WWE Hardcore Championship. Basically, it's the post-2014 championship belt with hardcore tape. Just so you know. He did not grab that belt. He grabbed the Undisputed Championship belt. He low-blowed Cody. He He tried to hit him with it. Cody grabbed it, fought with it, made like he was going to hit John, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't break the rules. He threw the belt away. Cena low-blowed him, got the belt back, hit him with the belt shot, and covered him for the 3 count of the victory. And that's it. Cody slinked away. They didn't get a good camera shot of him. They just focused on Cena. Travis Scott raised his arm. Yeah, you're seeing the problem here. Again, I understand if The Rock's Hollywood's commitments meant that he couldn't commit to anything. And I know a lot of fans are saying, well, Rollins is going to come out and attack him. Or, Heyman and Rollins, and they're going to reveal that the Rock's new bloodline. That Rock has been manipulating Heyman the whole time. And I don't really see that happening because Seth Rollins isn't a lackey anymore. This isn't 2014. This isn't fresh off the breakup of the Shield, and so you could see him still being a puppet of the Authority, Seth Rollins. He's not that anymore. He's his own guy. He's been a multiple-time champion. Why would he do that? I can understand Cena to an extent because he wants that record breaker, which he now has. But, not Rollins. And so, not to mention, again, like I said, there's going to be a hard delineation between the brands. And Cody's a SmackDown guy right now. Thus, by extension, Cena must be a SmackDown guy. And Rollins is a Raw guy. Now, there could be a draft. You never know. But, again, depending on how that plays out, we never know who you're going to wind up feuding with. And not to mention, again, you have Drew McIntyre lurking in the weeds. Damian Priest is always capable of something. I'm sure we're probably going to, given that Backlash is in St. Louis this year, we're probably going to get Randy Orton versus John Cena in there. So, again, I can see where certain things are going to happen, but I can't say for certainty. And like I said, I do see Cody probably winning the title back, either at SummerSlam or at Cena's final match at the end of the year. We're probably going to have to put up with a lot here. I don't know exactly how it's going to go. And unfortunately, this is a very flat WrestleMania overall. I did like Night 1 a lot more than a lot of people do, but I do see a lot of their complaints. The Charlotte Flair-Tiffany Stratton match was clunky. I liked Jacob Fatu. I liked the 4-way. I liked the women's 3-way for the most part was really good. Again, I just didn't like the build-up to it. I loved... obviously, I love Jay beating Walter, but again, I can understand. Again, there was build-up problems with that one too, and there were some parts of that where, again, I don't think people like that, but that was probably just haters hating. And at the same time, the New Day tag match, that was a Raw match that could have been on Raw. That didn't need to be on WrestleMania. I kept saying push the tag titles more, but you got to do it in a better way than this. Again, the 3-way ladder match they had on SmackDown this week would have made much more sense as a WrestleMania match. Still, Like I said, and I understand the disappointment with Joe Hendry and everything, but yeah, this was a very... my phone went off, sorry. This was a very, very blah WrestleMania. I don't know if I could really drop as low as a D, but I'm going to give this a C-. I don't think I can drop as low as... I said, there was still a lot of good in this. I don't want to say like I'm completely crapping on it. This is not as bad as, say, WrestleMania 32 or, even the COVID WrestleMania or WrestleMania 37, which I thought were a little too clunky and overblown. Again, at least this one was short. It had that going for it. But yeah, I kind of get the idea of it just not working, Like I said, I am interested to see what they're kind of going to do with Cena. I don't have Netflix, so I won't be able to watch the Raw after Mania. I'll probably have to watch a live reaction stream of it or something. So yeah, but yeah, at least I'm not as... even at WrestleMania 39, which I probably overly crapped on, but still, that at least left me feeling something. This really didn't. So yeah, that's kind of why I don't want to... If I'm nonplussed, I think average or just slightly below average is a better ranking than an outright aggravating ranking, So yeah. Anyway, the next video is going to be NFL Draft Preview. I might be able to do Random Trade Review on Squirrel Girl. I'm not entirely sure just yet. If not, it'll be the Draft Recap and Review after that. And then the Random Trade Review on Squirrel Girl. Wrestling-wise, there's not much. I thought about doing another New Japan show, but it's like I just kind of keep losing track as to when they are. AEW right now really isn't in the cards, unfortunately. I think the next AEW show I'll do is, if I could do Wrestle Dream, I'd like to, or not Wrestle Dream, Forbidden Door. That's what I'm thinking of. I'd like to do that, but I'm not entirely sure. I will at least try to do All In. Okay, because that's in July. Anyway, WWE-wise, Backlash is May 10th. And then Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide are kind of the same weekend. So that's their crossover show with AAA. So I guess, I don't know exactly how that's going to work out, but it should be interesting. That's the same weekend. That's June 7th. Don't know anything about TNA right now. Don't know about, New Japan or AEW. So that's about the best I can give you right there. See you all next time. Hey guys, remember, you can help me expand my professional wrestling coverage by supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions. Also, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Oh.